Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 105 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choid. What's up? If you are new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, most often comedians and other artists, about their lives and careers. The conversation is casual, but I also ask everyone to highlight people they love, who they admire, who influenced them, inspired them, and or supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com, and the Instagram handle is at peoplewelovepodcast. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as well, at Adam Choit, if you want to follow me. And please remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes, Apple Podcasts are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is comedian Rachele Friedland. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, as a young girl into ballet and horses, it wasn't too long before she moved on from those things into her role as a sarcastic teen. Later on, though, it was her mom who actually suggested stand-up comedy. But years before Rachele found the stage and was performing at comedy festivals and beyond, when she was 4 years old, she met one of her best friends, Paige, who's also sarcastic, outgoing, and a bit mischievous as well. Let's just get started. Here's Rachele Friedland. So it's good to see you today, Rachele Friedland. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, how are you holding up? What year is it? 2021?
It's 2021. I tried to make a joke that people keep referring to last year, quote unquote, last year, but they mean 2019. And
Yes.
Then recently I tweeted something saying, I watched a movie in 2019 and then we went into lockdown. And my friend Ryan responded and was like, how long have you been doing this? For, 2 years. Because I got the date wrong. But
Yeah,
that is,
nobody knows what time. Nobody knows what day it is, what year it is. It weekends. It's all weekends, weekdays. It's all become like this.
it's
blur.
mush. Yeah.
Maybe that's good though. I mean, not for the good reasons, but maybe it's like we should treat all the days like, I don't know,
Like they're your last.
not last, but like just why do they all have to be different? Why can't we just make the best of whatever day it is? Why is it? Oh, I can only do X thing on a certain day. There is no days anymore. It's just go live your life.
Yeah, it's just time slots you've allocated for certain things. I mean, the only thing that's helped me differentiate my weekends from my weekdays, and I'm also I've been working from home, which is like, a blessing and a curse. But my weekends are now the only time that I get drunk. So that's what helps me be like, okay, it's fun playtime. It's not the work week.
Yeah, you have like a system, a schedule that works for you. Moderation. I suppose, exactly. In a sense, at least. It depends what happens on those 2 days, I guess.
There were some weekends, early quarantine, where I was up until 3 a.m., where in the real world, I would not be up until 3 a.m. on a weekend. It just wasn't my move. But for some reason, I was like, trying to chase the dragon of like, how do I have a good time at home, even though I'm alone in my room with a buzz on and like just staring at my phone.
Right.
Or laptop screen.
I think I know what you're saying because I've like, my friend messaged me maybe a couple of months ago. He's like, you know what? I'm not as big an alcoholic as I thought I was or would be. And I've kind of like thought the same way. I've cut way back on drinking. And I used to think that like, I'm putting up air quotes, drinking socially was just something like people filled out on forms and not like a real thing. But that is like a real thing. And I mean, I will consider like Zoom calls. I'm not drinking right now, but like, Zoom meetings or calls or like, that's considered social in a sense, but like,
right.
I don't know. I get it now. It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Would you then want to join me if I were like, oh yeah, and I have a beer? Would you be like, yeah, let me get one too?
Yeah, I would get something probably. Most likely. That's like a social drinker. Look at that.
Hey, there you go. I feel the same way. I'm usually pretty good about not drinking during the work week anyway, because I know it really fucks with I just can't focus, whatever. It's a whole thing. So I'm lucky that I've stuck to that through quarantine.
Yeah. Otherwise, are you a pretty disciplined person? We'll get into your whole backstory and stuff, but are you a pretty disciplined person in general with your life?
I think for the most part, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it, like for better or worse. kind of thing, where it's like that that's hurt me more than it's helped me sometimes. So, that's been something I've been working on lately, but yeah, I'd say pretty disciplined.
I got you. Well, why don't we get into it? You were telling me before we started recording that you're from Southern California, LA, Long Beach, and I'll let you tell me what you remember from the early days and I kind of ask people what jumps out at them from like the fucking earliest memories, like 3, 4, 5 years old. If people remember, who knows what people remember?
Wow. I wish I remembered anything.
Images or sounds?
Images or sounds. I have, I grew up in Long Beach, California. The first couple of things that I remember, I guess, doing as a kid were like being in ballet. So being a performer has always been part of my lifestyle, I'll say. So yeah, I want to say being the center of attention is like very familiar, even though I don't know that that's true, but yeah, did ballet growing up, used to horseback ride, talk about it in my stand-up a little bit, former horse girl, now reformed, still probably weird to a lot of people, but that's fine. And I was saying before we started recording that like I didn't grow up listening to a lot of or watching a lot of like classic TV shows or movies that maybe a lot of other comics have. I wasn't allowed to watch like MTV at my house. So I didn't have access to the shows that I feel like were very integral to a lot of people. I just stayed on that Nickelodeon and Disney train for a long time.
I got you.
A lot of kids show content until my parents got divorced, and then at my mom's I could watch MTV and VH1. And that was like, I had a TV in my room, so it was like, oh, it's going down in here. I was watching like Flava Flav's reality dating show, of course. And yeah, just like consuming all of VH1's programming slate, like all of their I Love the 80s or I Love the 90s shows.
You're catching up on culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so everything felt very retroactive, where I was like, well, I didn't know that happened, so I'm learning it now.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. The only thing I think is weird about the horseback riding thing is that you described the aftermath of it as being reformed, as if you did something wrong. Is horseback riding bad to do? Doesn't every girl, every person, not every person, but like women, the females like horses.
I love how delicately you're trying to state that. Yeah.
Yo, chicks love horses. Cause they're well endowed. I'll just say it. Yeah. No, I took it way too far the other way.
Well, no, which is funny because I think that's what a lot of people think of when they think of horse girls. They're just like, oh, these weird, possibly introverted, but like maybe horniest people you've ever met, which I
wasn't even thinking that. It's just such a cultural thing. It seems like, at least on TV. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, but and I think that's the depiction that they get. And that's why, representation matters for horse girls as well.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's fine and funny, and people are often surprised maybe that I'm a former horse girl. Reformed, I say only because I don't want people to be freaked out, but I guess I have no control over that.
You mean you were like obsessed with horses and now you're not, and you don't want people to think you were like a freak? I don't know why people think it's so bad. It's so bad. It's a bad thing. That's funny to me.
I only couch it that way because that I'm reacting to the way people react to me saying it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I got into an argument. This is actually crazy because I talked about this with 3 people after this happened. I got into an argument with my roommate about how you can kiss a horse on their nose. And we were watching a show in which it happened, which is what prompted the conversation. And I was like, yeah, you kiss a horse on their nose, just like right above their nostrils. And she goes, well, isn't it like, don't they have wet noses like a dog or a cat? And I got angry and I said, no, why would they have wet noses? And she was like, I don't know what horses' noses are like. And then I proceeded to talk about it with 2 coworkers and on a FaceTime date after that, because it really sat with me and I needed justice for horses. And then I spoke to another friend and I said, don't you kiss a horse on the nose? Because his mom rides horses. And he went, yeah, softest part of a horse's body.
Kiss a horse wherever you want. It's fine with me. I mean, as long as it's fine with the horse.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I was gonna say it should be consensual, but this is going somewhere where I don't want it to go. What about family? Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister. She's a couple years younger than me. She's a delight. My parents, both big personalities. So when I told them I wanted to, I actually don't know that I told them I wanted to do stand-up, but I've always been like writing, and I used to write this satirical blog in high school where I thought I was being this like really smart, cunning, voice online.
Were you?
Parents, well, no.
Well, what kind of voice were you actually looking back?
Man, in hindsight, it was just a lot of being like, I'm not like other girls, stuff.
Yeah,
when you're in
angsty. I've looked back on some of my angsty writings, and I didn't even think of myself as angsty. I'm like, yo, this is just like not just angsty. It's like just not really good either.
Oh yeah, of course. Which it shouldn't be. Like you're in high school, or you're however old you are, where it's not an assignment. You're not getting feedback on it. You're the only one who's proofreading it, quote unquote, if any proofreading's being done. But I mean, there's some things that I stand by where I talked about how much I hated PDA, and I still hate it.
Only with horses is okay.
Only with that's my exception. And I had actually written something about, I think one of the last things I had written about was about John Hamm and how he had gotten divorced or separated from whoever he was seeing for a while. And that's actually how my roommate, we like had added each other on Facebook back in the day. And I posted that and she was like, oh, this girl's funny. We're going to be friends. So, it led to something. It led to something good. I have a roommate now.
There you go.
But yeah, my mom was actually the one who came to me and said that I should try stand-up because I wasn't sure what I was doing in college with like a communications degree. And I was writing a music blog, and it was like, writing was always kind of part of something that I was doing. So she recommended that I try stand-up, and then I took classes, which I know is also, frowned upon, but I did it. And
I don't know that it is. And a bunch of comedians, almost like I've interviewed many at this point, and a third of them, a quarter of them, half of them, some amount have taken sure. classes. And
I know that people have. It's just that same thing where like, and who knows what the discourse is going to be anymore once we get back to stand up and, mics and people talking. But my experience has been whenever I talk to people, like other comics who have been doing it for a while, they're like, no, don't do a class. You don't need a class, which they're not wrong. Like you don't need a class, but it did help a lot in understanding like a lot of basics, maybe sure. that I didn't get because I, again, didn't watch a lot of stand-up specials growing up, or I didn't really watch, a lot of my like shows that my contemporaries were watching. So, it was helpful in some way.
Yeah. What about way back in like elementary school? Like what were you into then? You kind of touched on it a little bit, and like what kind of student were you? Were you a good kid and all that kind of stuff? Were you like as a youngster?
I was a good student. Did do the talent show every year with my friends. So like was very, like I did dance, did talent shows, like was very into being like, okay, let's show off our skills, which who knows what they were, but it was always fun to like make up a dance with my friend. And
where does all this confidence come? Where does all this confidence come from? Like as that like a kid, when did you always have this like this performing thing where you're just?
No, I think I cried at every like ballet performance I had.
Cried at the performances? Why?
Yeah, because it was so overwhelming. I don't think I understood what I was doing. It was just like, oh, my mom put me into these classes. And then when you do the class, you do the performance. And it was like, it just has to happen. So here I am going to go do this thing, whether I really want to or not.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. It's funny that, I mean, I guess it's good that it comes across as confidence. It definitely, I don't know, it did something. It did something that like sparked like, oh, I like performing and I want to keep doing it. And so when my mom suggested stand-up, it wasn't like, no, that's crazy. I would never. In high school, I wasn't as like on a dance team or, I wasn't as out there, I guess, as I was when I was quite young.
Yeah.
We
can be that way. We can be that way growing up as we get into awkward phases of our adolescence and teenage years. We're not as like carefree as we were when we were kids and didn't give a shit about what people thought. What do they say, that all drunks and kids will tell you the truth and will act maybe even more authentically in some regard than the average adult.
Yeah. No, high school was definitely just me developing a shield of sarcasm as a defense mechanism and, really crushing it with that.
Yeah. That works.
Oh, it was flawless. I actually ran into a friend from high school a couple of years ago and he goes, "Oh, you're still doing that bitchy thing, huh?" And I was like, okay. Yeah,
I don't think it's bitchy. I don't think you're bitchy or your stage. I don't think you don't really have a stage persona. It's just you, sarcastic you.
No, it's just me. It's just really nice, I thought. No, I think it was funny because I think I was the first person that people knew to like develop that. Do you know what I mean? Of just being like, oh, I'll talk back, or like I'll make the joke.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was just unexpected. Whereas everyone else would be like, I don't know, let's have alcohol this weekend.
I was gonna say when I'm seeing you perform, I think I saw you perform at least once or twice, way back in another lifetime.
Seriously.
And then was watching a little bit more. Like, it's not mean spirited at all. Like the way your delivery and your whole attitude in your performance that I've seen, you're not like attacking. You know what I mean? Like that you're sarcastic, but you're not like, I don't know. Because I see other people come across differently where it's like not as likable.
Sure.
In my opinion.
Hey, you're allowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's mostly like self-deprecating type humor. Right. And I mean, more recently, like I was working on some material about a breakup. So I did get to like go after someone, which was, fun and cathartic.
Right.
By no means am I a roast comic, though. That's what I learned, is that it really takes a lot for me to figure out how to be funny and mean.
Yeah. No, I don't really like roasts that much. I respect a good roast joke. I understand what makes, maybe I don't understand what makes a good one, but I can recognize, something that's good or appreciate a good one.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I don't know. That's mean. I don't want to be roasted. So you're saying?
No, I don't want to be roasted because I don't want to know what people know about me.
Or really think.
Yeah. Or really think. I mean.
Or thoughts it's not that what they think, but they've had that thought, and that's enough to hurt me.
Yeah, I did. I caught someone once talking shit on me in an Instagram story. Like they didn't know that someone was recording like the side part of a bar, where everyone was just like hanging out. And I overheard someone saying my name. And I was like, oh my God. And it made me upset because I was like, what is there to say about me? I'm a delight. Like,
what did they say bad?
No, they were just talking about how my opinion doesn't matter. And I was like, ultimately, sure, you're not wrong.
What does that mean? It's like saying water is wet. Like, saying what they're saying is I don't like her opinion.
Yeah. And that's fine because it made them feel good in the moment. And, that's important. But as I like thought about it more and more, I was like, it's just nice to be thought of. It's nice that I sat with.
All press is good press.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the modern kind of press, is negative Instagram story 15 feet away from you.
Yeah. And of course, this was years ago, and I've held on to it because I'm like, how could anyone say anything mean about me? But that's exactly why I can't do a roast, because I would just ruminate over all of these things that people would have to say that I'd rather not know. I'd rather live in ignorance.
Yeah. It's not like you're going to be like on your deathbed being like, I wonder what bad things people thought about me. I wish I would have known. I would have done something different. It's all silly. Yeah. What about more in like high school? Where did, how were your grades? And it sounded like it was maybe not a tough time, but definitely, teenage years can be challenging. and what's more, tell me more about that and like where you thought you'd be headed with your life and career. Because you mentioned you didn't get into stand up until college. So tell me about the high school stuff, and then we'll keep the train moving.
Sure. Yeah. High school was fine. High high school was fine. I didn't I had read a lot more books than my peers had, so I had a leg up in all my English classes. I also went from a private school, like I went to a K through 8 private school, so I graduated with 17 people in my class, to a public high school where I had 1,400 people in my freshman
Wow.
class. So, and I knew no one. So it
Was it school in Long Beach?
yeah.
Is that Snoop Dogg school or what?
No, I went to the rival school. I went to
Rival?
Wilson High School. Yeah,
Yeah.
where the movie Freedom Fighters is based off of a teacher there. It's very white savory. It's quite the time. But that's my school.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if we have anyone notable from
You.
Wilson. I mean, of course. I think there's like a couple baseball players.
Yeah, probably Southern California, LA, Long Beach, a lot of ball players.
But yeah, that was a really big transition to go from like knowing every single person in my class well to knowing no one and kind of getting to be someone different. It's like, I don't know, you're a freshman in high school, you get to, I don't know. I had no former like not stigma, but I didn't have like a label before. Like I didn't come into the school being like, oh, she's the quiet one, or like she's loud.
Yeah,
or
a
she's
couple of people have
cheerleader.
mentioned that, like the idea of going to a new school and seeing it as an opportunity to be someone else, and actually like just being someone else. Like it can be done, that fresh start.
Yeah, totally.
I would be the same person in every fucking school, no matter what.
Would you?
Probably. Maybe I would take things that I learned from the old schools.
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely where I developed like, or understood that I really like being social, and that like making friends wasn't very hard for me. And I thought it really was going to be, and it really wasn't. Good. Yeah. So that was really good. And I also appreciated that I never had like a true clique. I was always bouncing around to different like groups of friends, which was fun. And then, but by senior year, I was like, oh, I'm over all of you people. Like, it was just like, I'm done here.
Why? Was it more the school environment than the people? Or it's insular, even in like a big school, like being in high school, it's still such a closed world. Like literally you're in a brick building or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how like, I think by my senior year, I had fallen off with a friend who like wasn't being a good friend to me and expected a lot back. And so it was also this interesting learning moment of like, what do you give to someone versus like, what do you expect? Or like, what are the expectations of each other as friends? Like there's a lot of...
still don't know how to do any of this.
Same, but there, it's like, it's high school and there's so many dynamics that you get thrown into with like friend groups, or like maybe your first relationship, or just like, a lot of firsts. Like I remember my sophomore year, I was like, I want to get drunk. And that was like a very big deal for me too. Cause I was, I don't know, I was very young. So I was like 13 or 14.
Sophomore year in high school, you're probably 14 or 15, no?
No, because I'm young for my grade. So I went into my freshman year very young.
I see. Would you skip a grade or something?
Yeah, I skipped kindergarten.
Oh,
no, I skipped
you fucking advanced.
Yeah, advanced preschool. Right. I think I just did 1 year of preschool instead of 2. Something really innocuous like that. And I have a December birthday. So I was either going to be the oldest person in my class or the youngest person in my class. But yeah, so just between being like, who am I going to be, and like being the social person and like hanging out with the party crew, or, whatever, bouncing around between all of those groups who were partying or like smoking pot, yeah, by the end of my senior year, I was like, oh, I don't like a lot of you guys. Like a lot of you suck. There's just not a lot of personalities happening. I can tell some of you have peaked in high school, and like that. This isn't sad.
You're making like you're not. This is really cold blood, not cold blood, but pretty like brutal and ruthless. Because like I thought you meant like, yeah, I'm just over everyone. It was just too much. You're like, no, this person's definitely not going anywhere. I objectively know this as a fact. This person is boring. 198 out of 100 people would agree with me on this. Like you're stating all this shit as it wasn't just you being a teenager and sick of high school. It's like I can tell these people kind of whack.
Yeah, I was a young bitch.
But that's what. But I think that's why people liked you in high school, at least in that. Not besides that one girl or whatever. It's like because you had like everyone around that age group, especially, is like fucking into sarcasm, and you're like probably betting like very highly skilled at it. So people gravitate to that.
What can I say? But I mean, truly, some of those people where I was like, "Oh, this is it for you." I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I've checked in. On some of them, and I was correct.
Yeah, some of them in prison or what?
No, not prison, but it's just like they like had the time of their life in high school, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I'm sure they had a great time in college or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe that's the trajectory they wanted, where it's like they did high school, they went somewhere for college, now they're back in Long Beach and they have a spouse and kids, and they love that for them.
Yeah, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, and I love that for them too.
Yeah.
One less person we have to beat out at Mike. So.
It's true. What about what were your plans for after high school? Were you going to college or going to work or?
Yeah,
where were we at?
My mom was very big into making sure I knew I was going to college. So I was going to college no matter what. And I didn't really do a lot of like preparation in high school grade wise for college or understanding like going out of state or really anything. I don't really know what I thought my plan was. So I just ended up going to Cal State Long Beach, which is a great school. And I'm very glad I went and I had a great time.
You commuted? Did you commute?
I lived on campus for a semester just to like meet people because again, I was so over everyone from high school.
Smart.
I was like,
that's smart. Do it initially and then, whatever, go from there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, drop me into this new world, joined a sorority, which is another thing that people have a lot of feelings about when they meet me. So yeah, it was good. I got a whole new set of like friends and again, love to make friends. So I got to make all new friends and yeah.
Do you keep in touch with a lot of people from that time?
I think I genuinely keep in touch with 3 people, like actively keep in touch with them, which I think is pretty good. And I think I keep in touch actively with 3 people from my high school and 1 person from kindergarten.
That's pretty good. I mean, that doesn't really matter as long as you have, we as humans have, what do you call it? Love, I think. Is what what's
it called again?
That thing, you have that from other humans. It doesn't matter as much, when and in what school you met people. But I suppose there's something cool, I guess is a word for, something to be said for relationships that go back so far. That's special. I mean,
yeah, totally. It is really cool. I was just texting with that friend from kindergarten earlier, and it's nuts.
What's this person's name?
Paige. Yeah. And it's just like, it's crazy because we'll get together and be like, oh, I've known you since I was 4 and we're 30 now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like it's pretty wild, but, yeah. I mean, when you think about, cause if you go even to high school or college or whatever it is, whatever your next step is after, let's just say your 18 to 25 age range, you meet hundreds of people, right? Like you're dropped into so many worlds, like whatever that is, that, I think to continue on with even one person from that like little slice of life, that 5 to 7 year range is an accomplishment.
Maybe not, but I'm sure I would guess, if it's been this long with this person, Paige, that you guys maybe don't talk every day and there's been kind of on and off communication and not in a bad way or anything like that. Just,
no, I totally agree.
In other directions. But what was it that, what is it or was it that you think bonded you guys together all these years and kept you in touch with each other?
I just think that because we grew up together and because like, we knew each other, we've known each other for so long, and like she knows all of my secrets.
Right.
So I have to keep her happy. No.
knowledge. Yeah. I was going to say knowledge of each other, but also for your own survival, for your own
I mean,
benefit.
I think that she's someone who also was like very outgoing, also very sarcastic with me. So like in high school, especially when we would go out together, it was like, oh, we're this fun little duo that's like funny and like, we'll make a fool of ourselves or whatever. So it just felt like, oh, this is fun. Like, look at us growing up together in these ways, and like sneaking booze from her parents' liquor cabinet, and all the little mischievous kind of things that you do in high school. And then she went away for college. So then it was fun because I could go visit her in San Francisco where she was going to school and like drop into her life and see what that was like. And yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That, what struck me about what you were saying is it's not even just the shared background that brought you guys together, or even the things in common that necessarily brought you. All those two things are there too. It's that you shared with each other and that you're like open with each other. And I think that's really what the bond is all about.
Yeah, totally.
I need to work on that more. I'm going to share more with people. They're like, dude, pull it back a little bit.
You're not alone. I have a feeling most men, not to generalize, have that problem, but it's a lovely little gift when you do.
No, I share too much.
Everyone's like, please stop.
Right, exactly. It's kind of true. Anyway.
Well, you have to say it.
No, I was gonna say sometimes I think my parents had enough of me. They're like, yeah, it's like fucking, we gotta go eat dinner. We don't want to talk to you anymore.
Do they rush you off the phone?
Not usually, but they fucking don't respond back to the text usually as quick as I do or whatever.
Wow, you'd think that would really stress a parent out.
Fucking get ghosted by my parents and shit.
Yeah, that's sad.
No, they're awesome. They're super supportive. I just like to talk smack about them on podcasts for fun. Tell me about stand up, because you said your mom sort of pushed you into it, because I think you're the second comedian who's had a parent who actually like pushed them into it. Most people are like, okay, fine, try it and get another job or something like that. But most people, but the fact that your mom pushed you or at least supported and encouraged it, I guess the word. That's cool. When in college did that become a thing, and how did that become a thing?
So that was just after college, maybe a year or two after. And I was working for my dad because he was running like a little marketing company, and social media was taking off. So I was like, let me handle the social media aspect of this, which I didn't like, but I had no clue I was so lost as to like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? I didn't, anything that I read about like being paid to write, it was like, you don't get paid a lot. And so I was like, well, I need to make money. And it just didn't, sometimes I'm like, I'm not that much of a hustler because I don't put in a lot of effort into things.
But you didn't, what it is? It sounds like you didn't know what you wanted. And I think that's the thing that I guess a lot of young people, or even everyone struggles with this. Like, my dad was like, oh, no one's going to like knock down your door. You got to go make things happen for yourself. You have to open doors for yourself. You have to make calls. No one's waiting.
Sure.
The world isn't waiting on you. But like, I don't even know what I want from the world.
Yeah.
So
that's what's so funny is that I didn't even consider, like, I didn't know that I could go be a stand-up comic. I thought that someone had to like go see you somewhere, or like you were an actor who became a stand-up comic.
You had to be one already.
I didn't know the trajectory, because I had never just sat down and Googled stand-up comedian or like how to start stand-up comedy. Like I didn't know that there were open mics, and that
a lot of people don't know about open mics. No one knows about open mics for some reason.
Because I didn't think it was an option. I certainly didn't think it was an option for me, because again, I thought that someone had to like read my blog, or, like I knew that there was traction somewhere from like putting yourself out there, quote unquote, especially online. And I didn't understand that I could just go simply do it myself. So my mom suggested to take this class from a woman that she knew. I did, but even when I did the class, I was like, so I just keep doing this until I get a manager, or like, what's the next step? Still not understanding that it was like, no, go develop the jokes that you've written in this class, or like, the jokes you think you've written in this class, and like, go do them somewhere else, or like go write new material, like, go write new jokes, or like make these jokes better. It was a lot of
work.
It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of learning. Sure. And I remember overhearing my pals, Katie French and Jonathan Rowell, talking about how they had like punched up some of their jokes. And I was like, whoa, like that's so advanced. Like it was crazy to me that they could go back and look at their own jokes and understand how to make them better. Because I sometimes and still will get so stuck in like, no, I only know how to tell this joke this way. Like there's no other combination of words, or there's no other way into it that I can see. I get really stuck in like, no, I've made the one path. I don't know how to do
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like something just even if it's something you create, it just becomes the right thing. It sounds right. It looks right. Yeah. And any deviation from that feels kind of wrong, or can.
Yeah. Or it's like, no, it's not as good, or it's worse, but I could give you notes. I could give anyone else notes and be like, oh, here's what you should do to make it blah, 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 blah. But for my own stuff, I'm like, I've actually never read before. That's what's crazy.
So yeah, so did you do that class culminated in a performance, I'm guessing, or something like that?
Oh, it certainly did.
How did that go?
There was a performance at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood Friday at 5:00, of course. It was great. I mean, I loved it. Like I did it, and then I took the class again because I didn't understand what I was doing. But by the end of that second one, I was like, oh, I see what this is now. And I understand that I can't just keep taking this class. Like I have to go do other things. So then I started doing stand-up, like open mics in Orange County. And of course got roped into some bringer shows in LA because
everyone does. It sounds like.
Which was so sad because I was so like, oh my God, if I win this thing, I'm going to go on the road and I'm going to open for someone and it's going to be amazing. And all my bless my family and friends who were so supportive that they like drove from Long Beach to LA often. Like they were so down to come support me and watch me do my thing, so to speak. And it's sweet now because I look back on it and I'm like, oh, I was so bad then. And my sweet friends came out to like sit and watch and clap and laugh and buy 2 drink minimum and, all those things. I went to Denver in 2019 and I had a friend from high school who was living out there who came to a show and she was like, that was so great. And I was like, yeah, because I'm not bad anymore. Like it's 7 years later and I know what I'm doing. But it just, I got that feeling of shame of like, oh no, you've seen me do my like earliest stages of jokes, quote unquote, or, material or whatever.
People don't care or think about it as much as you think, probably.
No, of course not.
They have their own lives. Everyone is all consumed with anyway. But you still would prefer to do well every time you go on stage.
Totally. And I want to have that moment of like, oh my gosh, like you're good at this, or like, I love this joke, or this was such a, so many jokes to me are just like, ooh, surprise and delight. Like, you want the little like word tricks or whatever it is, the unexpected thing that someone's going to say that makes you, just gets you.
Yeah, I'm sure you thanked everyone for coming to some of the early bringer shows where you were not as accomplished as a comedian. But do you ever like thank those people or thank people like now or like more recently, like, yo, I remember back in the day.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Do you ever, I mean, not saying like you're a bad person if it doesn't come up, but I was just kind of wondering if that's something you do say.
So when I was in Denver and that friend was like, oh my gosh, you're so good. That's when it really sank in that I was like, oh no, you've seen me be so bad for so long. And I've said it to her. I've said it to another friend in LA. Like I've definitely said it to a lot of people of just like, thank you so much, many years ago for coming out to these shows and I don't know, just being supportive and like being a good friend. And I'm sure like, we've also supported our friends where we're like, where the fuck is this going to go?
Whenever you're trying to be supportive, but you don't necessarily think what they're doing is the best for them, or it's a path that's going to be just a challenging path. So as a friend, you're interested, worried, curious, want to support, but also you're a little skeptical too. But I guess that's part of being a friend is being critical a little bit and honest.
Totally. Yeah. They need to be cautiously optimistic and you just need to be the idiot.
Did Paige ever come out to see you perform either in the early days or, once you started to find your bearing a little bit? When did she, I'm guessing she's probably seen you perform.
She's definitely seen me. I just can't think of like the last time, but I can't think of the last time of anything. But yeah, she's definitely come out, and she's actually someone who like I would workshop a lot of ideas with, because she is, I don't know if like every comic has this friend, but she's someone who's like very off the grid. She's not on social media. She just like lives her life, which I respect, but is just the funniest person.
Dude, she sounds awesome.
She's the best, and like just has the craziest kind of imagination that it's that thing where you're like, oh, I wish I had my childhood imagination still, because I feel so shackled by my reality. That she's someone who's so fun to talk to, because she'll be like, oh yeah, and what if it, and then just like go off on some crazy tangent that you're like, okay, probably not, but that's a great like jumping off point to just be a little more like kooky and weird and not feel that judgment of like my own ideas.
She has a very creative mind. Is she in a creative field as well in some capacity? Yeah, I didn't think so, because that's kind of like the way you're describing it. You're almost like, I have this one person who's not on Instagram 24 hours a day and isn't a writer, comedian, director, actor, producer.
Yes,
I want to bounce ideas off of.
Totally. It's the same with my roommate, where like she will produce comedy shows, but there's so many things that I run by her, because it's nice to have that perspective. That's not
sure.
It's like, I'm trying to make her laugh, right? I'm not trying to make other comics laugh, or, whatever it is, like, but they're both, Paige and my roommate, Chelsea, are both just like smart people who are willing to like maybe be a little more silly than I would let myself, because you have that layer of judgment of like, no, it's fucking stupid. Like, why would you say that?
You want to have like diversity in the writer's room of your life, I guess.
The writer's room of my brain, for sure.
Right. But also I think some sensibility overlap with whether it's your roommate or Paige or someone like that as well. When you're, someone, obviously you only want to share your creative, projects with people that you like and trust, of course. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So gosh, I started stand up and I don't remember. I guess it's 8 years now. So whatever is 8 years ago. I'm terrible at math. But I'm like, do we count this past year?
No, not for stand up. I don't think so.
Yeah. So
it doesn't. The past year doesn't really count for. I mean, I know what you mean by count.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it's like, I guess I've been doing for stand up for 7 and 1 quarantine years.
Yeah.
Ask
other comedians how they're describing it, and then just go with whatever the consensus opinion, I guess, of how to describe last year.
Yeah, I'm going to. But yeah, that like even that feels crazy to say, like 7 or 8 years of doing stand up, and I don't know, pursuing like writing jobs for the first time, and just even having access to like submit to a writing job feels really surreal. And
that's great.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to answer a question you haven't asked, which is like, is there a payoff? And the answer is, I don't know. Cause we're all still in it, but I've surely had some fun, and I've surely learned how to like write a joke, and finally feels like I understand what it sounds like when I tell a joke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You have a voice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that feels like an accomplishment.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was going to ask. What maybe are some of the highlights over the last few years in stand-up for you? And, where do you imagine yourself going with either stand-up? Do you act also? You're an actor also?
I don't. No, I don't.
Just stand-up and writing.
Just stand-up and writing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Highlights are, I did do a couple of festivals in 2018, which were really fun. I did Broke LA, which is right here in Los Angeles. And I did Beast Village, which is a really great festival out in Iowa. Those felt like highlightable kind of moments. And then I went to London in 2019 and did shows there. And that was really, really cool. And I'm looking forward to going back. So yeah, I think those felt really great, along with like any time that you get to travel and do shows is just such a treat. Like, you just get to meet so many other comics and see other scenes and understand like what the sense of humor is different places. And
yeah, you're answering all the questions I was going to ask about.
Okay,
like,
great.
why is a festival? What is it about a festival environment that you particularly enjoy? But I think you just answered that question basically.
It's so neat because you walk into a room and you're like, well, I don't know what they want to hear. And so much of my stand-up is very personal. Like I'm not making observational humor. I'm not really talking about current events. Like I'm very much talking about me, my dad who's been married 4 times. And, I had, my grandma just passed away, but like, she was a very big like character, in my life and in my stand-up. So
I saw that. I saw something about your grandma, I think on Instagram. She was like, how old was she?
She was 100. She was almost 101.
That's what my grandma is right now. Is 100 and a third.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what a gift. Yeah. I mean, I miss her so much. She was someone who loved to come to my shows. She would love to come to my shows and she'd love to sit up front, and she couldn't hear anything, like her hearing was going. So she couldn't really hear a lot of things, but she was just delighted to watch her granddaughter on stage. I don't know, like it just made her happy, which made me so happy.
She was proud. She could understand that this is that you're doing something that's cool and worth seeing and worth recognizing and being a part of.
Totally. Yeah. Which was very sweet. At one point she did call it the thing I do to blow off steam. And I was like, okay, not entirely wrong, but thank you for having hope.
I think maybe she heard more than you're letting on.
Yeah. Maybe she's like, I can't hear a thing, but you're doing great, honey. Yeah. So, going into shows in like different cities, not to say that everyone in LA freaking loves to hear about my dad or, whatever, but you just never know what people are expecting to hear or what they're in the mood for. And so it's fun to go to different cities and do my little skits and see.
Is that what we call them?
Just being so degrading to myself, my little skits, and just see what people like. And, if they gel with it, then it's like, cool, I've got plenty of stories for you guys. And if they don't, I just try to tell the dirtiest jokes possible.
That's a good fallback. That's a good plan B, second option for you.
Yeah.
What about let's say stand up comes back to somewhat normal again. I mean, what is the long-term or even shorter term goals, plans, dreams for stand up or the writing thing? Is it the tour, Netflix special, your own series? Like what kind of thing? What where are we going?
Sure. I think, doing an open mic will be such a great feeling. I can't wait to say what else on stage.
Wow. Yeah, we're starting. We're starting very okay. I mean, you're answering my question in reality, which is fine. But it's where you're at. It's where you're at. Where headspace is at.
I was watching an episode of the show Easy, and they're following a stand-up comic who like is like, oh, is that the light? Okay, I have a minute left. Okay, all right, that's it for me. Thanks, guys. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to do that, to just run out my last minute at a mic, essentially jerking off on stage, just being like, I don't know. No, so I can't wait to get back and do a mic, do some shows. I think I knew going into starting stand-up, for whatever reason, I don't think that I'm going to be like a touring headlining comic. I just don't think it's my pace. I don't know that I'm speaking to that kind of audience, if that makes sense. But
no, it doesn't. Why is it not your pace, and why are you not speaking to that audience? If you have a funny hour, why can't it be seen by a lot of people?
Maybe it could be seen by a lot of people, but I just don't know. I just don't know that like a club setting vibes with like what I'm talking about, which again, I'm not talking about things that are like very edgy. Yeah, like I still don't know, like when people are like, ooh, freaking alt comedians, like I don't know that I'm an alternative comedian. I just think that because my style is very like I think very like storytelling.
Yeah.
I just don't know that is the tone that like headliners have all the time. Yeah, like you do see people who are like I don't know, because then I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just with the answer and with with the prospects of something like that happening for you. But yeah, I mean, you just do. I mean, what do I know? You're in the business, but like, just do you, just be you, and then I guess let the chips fall where they may. Is that a thing?
For sure. I think that's what this year, I haven't like been doing a lot of online shows, so it's been like nice in a way to step away and not feel that like gotta grind, dude, gotta do 3 mics a night, or whatever it is.
A nice break, a long break,
a nice long break. So there are the aspects that I miss, which are of course for me is like the performing. I really do miss performing. There's a lot of things I don't miss, so it's been nice to like as we slowly wade back into society to be like, all right, well, where do I want to focus my efforts? And I do think I want to work toward like putting together, like you said, an hour of something. I don't know that it's going to be just straight stand up, or maybe it'll incorporate some
ballet.
Huh?
Ballet.
Yeah, I'm going to do ballet on a horse. So
there you go. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it'll incorporate some other things, but just trying to focus more on like, all right, what do I want to do and not focus on like what my dogs, woof woof all around me are just like regurgitating back and forth to each other as far as like, got to do this many mics or get on these shows or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I trust that you know what you're doing. I just have like a good.
That makes one of us.
Yeah. No, well, I sense that you work pretty hard as well. So, and you put in the effort. So if you put in the effort, then sure. The details of the results, I think will work themselves out. True. We hope so. We'll see what happens with this world in the next few years. But I think we covered a lot. We covered Long Beach. We covered comedy. We covered
surely did
a little bit of family stuff. We covered some friends. What else do we need to talk about? If we have anything else you want to mention?
Well, here's something I do need to clarify.
Oh, sure.
Is that the extra E in my name was not added for stage name effect. I was born with the extra E.
It's a middle initial without spaces or with a dot.
No, my name gets pretty fucked up. So like you'd said, I get brought up on stage as Rachele Friedland all the time, which is fine. Cause then if Rachele bombs, it wasn't me. And it's like, well, she had a tough night. But my middle name is also spelled in a very unique way. It's Nicole, but my mom decided to spell it Nykole.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. I've seen some unique spellings alternative spellings for that name.
That's why I feel so bad whenever those moms are like, what name should we pick, with like the chalkboard, and it like blows up on Instagram because they're all the most fucked up like phonetic kind of spellings you could find for Kaylee.
Yeah.
Because I too have an oddly spelled couple of names.
How do you feel about that? Do you like that? Is that something you did just like that as a kid, and like now what have been your thoughts about it?
It's frustrating in that no one knows, and then I have to correct people, which is
right. That's annoying. It's like it's just something you have to do. Like all the
it's a big exercise, and like actually, my name is blah blah blah. Standing up for myself and how people pronounce my name, which is fine. But otherwise, I have no opinions on it. But a lot of other people get very upset about it. So they
get upset about your name.
Yeah.
That seems not really a thing worth getting upset about.
I mean, I don't know that they're genuinely upset.
They're outraged.
Outraged. I say, hey, take it up with my mom.
Cool. Well, that is clear now. The whole naming thing, and I appreciate you clarifying that. But why don't you tell people where they can find you, follow you, anything else you're working on? I'll give you the floor to do your thing. I'll let you get on there with the rest of your evening.
Sure. Yeah, I am actually going to be workshopping like a show, hopefully within the next couple months. So if you do want to follow me at Rachel RACHELE _F on Twitter, which I resent having the underscore in my Twitter handle now, but I didn't know at the time. Or Rachele Friedland on Instagram. Please do so. And then you can know about this little thing I'm going to workshop very soon.
Is it maybe you don't want to say? I would assume you were just a new stand-up set, or you don't want to say. Just a secret, top secret project.
It's not top secret. It's not a top secret project. I just don't know how to like couch it quite yet. It's like it's just a performance.
Dude, I like that.
It's a comedic performance.
I have something to look forward to. This is a live thing in LA or something like that.
It's a live thing on Zoom probably for now. Okay. You know, that's the thing is like, how do we reintegrate? I don't know. So I'm just going to say it'll be a Zoom thing just to make it easy. I don't want to have to deal with logistics or health scares or anything.
All right. I'll bring a camera out to the baseball field. We'll do it in the bleachers. Sounds good.
That sounds terrifying. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't come out right at all. Anyway, I appreciate the time. It's been fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I'll let you go, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. All
right, later. So there you have it. My conversation with Rachele Friedland. Rachele Nicole Friedland. And don't forget, it's not Rachele, despite the spelling. And it's Friedland, not Friedland. And Nicole is spelled Nykole. Don't fuck any of this up, people. For real. That was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate Rachele taking the time. But anyway, for now, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com for everything about this show. At People We Love Podcast on Instagram. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Sorry this episode 105 took a minute to get out to you guys. Thanks again as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.